So one of the main things that I really am so grateful about with the nervous system work or just nervous system understanding is that I can soothe myself when I do not act in alignment with my like values or my knowledge. Okay, because the nervous system helps me understand that capacity is like the um access point, or like your capacity just says whether you have access to your spiritual knowledge and your values or not. Okay, so a great example would be that if someone got like attacked in the street, and let's say they were like a strict pacifist, all right, and they like lashed out and hurt someone because their animal body took over, then like their capacity was such that they could just do animal. Like because when you're in a defense state, you're just animal. You have your lower brain. You don't have your like human stuff going on, cognition, right? So, or another good example would be like I don't like to eat animals, but if I was starving, I might, right? Because I would be putting the animal like over the like cognitive spiritual. So, in the past, I have experienced like okay, let's say for example, I prefer if someone gets like really attacky at me to not defend, right? To just be like, I hear you, you may be right. That's my value around like if someone attacks me, my value says I would like to respond with like, you may be right, and thank you for sharing that with me. Now, my capacity impacts my ability to connect with and behave according to my values. So this morning, I experienced something where I felt attacked. And because I had lower capacity around this situation, um, because of the like stakes and ramifications and history involved with it, I did not have the capacity to not get defensive. I got real defensive and I spewed a whole bunch of defensive stuff. And afterwards I was like, dang it, right? And I felt sad that I hadn't been able to have the capacity to act according to my values. But I do not feel like I hate myself for not having the capacity to act according to my values. So my connection with that higher self that's like, yeah, you didn't have the capacity and everything's still, I'm still here. Your higher self is the one who knows like everything is just an experience, right? And doesn't have a like judgment thing to it. Like you can't do it right or wrong from the higher self perspective. So the more time I spend understanding how the nervous system works, and the more time I spend connecting with my higher self, I get to come back to myself with a lot of grace in these moments and be like, yeah, your capacity doesn't always allow you to access your highest wisdom. And that makes sense. That's a mechanism that it's not a faulty thing. It's not an immaturity or a lack of spirituality. It's a mechanism that overrides my connection with my highest self, my values, in order to keep me on a planet that has a lot of physical threat. And so I can come to myself in those moments and be like, yeah, of course you didn't have the ability to do that. It wouldn't have made sense if you did, and it's not for lack of spirituality or work on your part. It's just evidence that you're still mostly an animal. And, I think we can grow our capacity and we can do all sorts of things to support our capacity. But sometimes life just results in us having a pretty diminished capacity or history or genetics or all sorts of, physical health, all sorts of things. And my favorite part about understanding capacity, understanding the nervous system, is that I can let that spiritual manager who wants to just like send me straight to hell and punish me forever whenever I don't do things perfectly, um, I can take real gentle care of them and say, I know you were taught that we were going to get in big, bad, scary trouble if we don't do everything perfectly. And that's not actually realistic or possible. And so we're going to take good care of you while you're freaked out and scared and want to, you know, scare me out of this behavior that you perceive as bad. And we're going to apologize to those people where it's warranted. And we're going to continue to bring self inquiry into this. But we can hold all the parts knowing that nobody's a bad guy and nobody's in trouble. And to remind everyone that we're going to continue having this experience for the rest of our life, no matter how many times we go through the SSP or how many times we, you know, meditate or read books or journal. Um, we're meant to have an animal body that goes into survival mode, and that's why I use the language that we're not trying to change or control the nervous system. We're learning how to understand, respect, and support it. So for anyone who is feeling like I didn't do the thing that I was supposed to do, or that's the spiritual thing to do, or that's the assertive thing to do or whatever, just remember that your capacity might not match your cognitive knowledge. Um, and that acknowledging that is a nice way to be honest with the situation without bringing a bunch of blame and shame on yourself or others. And in the same way, other people don't have the capacity to do better than they're doing. Um, and that can be really helpful too. Um, I love you.